Welcome to Time Sync, the weekly podcast to let you know what's worth sinking your time into. I'm your host, Sauce, and I am joined this week by Mr. Hummer.
How's it going, guys?
Good, really good.
Good.
I'm here. I made it. I overcame my illness. And also joined by Brad.
That's not all you've overcome. I'm just leaving it right there. Please hang there. And scene.
We don't have a straight man in this lineup. We need anyway. We have a bunch of
spaghetti. We have three straight men, as far as I can remember.
Straight as spaghetti till it hits the water.
Oh my god,
that's a lot to process. There's a lot to think in there.
Yeah,
I think a psychiatrist would have a field day with that statement.
Somebody's getting paid. We got a great episode for you this week. This week, we're going to talk about Kim's Convenience. Ooh, I appreciate some good alliteration. The Undoing, Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops, Cold War. Doing a little catching up on Dungeons and Daddies and Aunty Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun. Superintelligence. Brad's already losing it. And we're going to talk about HBO. So stick around. So Hummer.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stuff to tell us about.
That was a big list.
Somehow, I don't know how. Has it just been a while? Has it been a couple weeks?
I should change it to the bi-weekly podcast.
Or the sometimes weekly. We just took a few weeks off because of the holidays.
And I was sick.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Oh, yeah. COVID sauce. We got some COVID sauce here.
It was not fun.
I know. He had to cook all the COVID out, and now it's just sauce. He's back to being sauce.
It's a reduction, a sauce reduction. That's me.
Well.
Hold on. That was hilarious, and none of you laughed.
You know, if it was funny, we would have laughed.
I mean, I'll give you points, but, like, it didn't hit me, I guess.
Too highbrow.
I didn't run with it. Yeah, too highbrow.
Where's Tito at?
He'll laugh later. You'll tell it. You're gonna text it to him later. I'm pretty sure.
Texting him right now. Go ahead, Hummer.
So I guess there's just a lot of stuff to do, you know, over the past couple of weeks, and I don't know if I should be admitting this. We may have flaunted some of the COVID rules and had some friends down to join our bubble. We had actually integrated pods a couple weeks ago by quarantining in our separate houses. But my friend from Australia introduced me to a show from Canada, Kim's Convenience. And I think it all started because we were getting ready to watch and catch up on The Mandalorian.
Excellent.
And we noticed that I don't forget what part he's playing now, but Paul Sun Hyung Lee stars in this comedy, this half-hour family comedy about a Korean family that owns a convenience store. And the hilarity that ensues because he speaks a very, if not intentional, broken English, but his daughter speaks perfect English, obviously. She lives in Canada. And it's just the stuff that they go through. It's a really funny show. I'm not going to say it's quite yet as good as Schitt's Creek, but it has the potential in my mind to be that good.
Wow. It's only one season so far, right? Or how many seasons are there actually? I see there's 4. Whoops.
Yeah, I'm seeing 4 on Netflix, I think, that are available. I think there might actually be a total of 6.
Oh, wow.
So
I've never heard of this show.
I remember catching this show a while back, like around when it first came out. I don't remember if it was via Netflix or maybe Hulu or something. But I work for a Korean family, so I remember checking it out and being able to like laugh at some of the inside Korean things. It very much reminds you of one of those like Cosby-esque family sitcoms Like that's very much what it is. Positive messages through character experience that is like an exaggerated realism, but it's very much like, oh, we're from Canada, and oh, we have this very Korean family, and like a lot of ethnic families have a lot of similarities. So like Frank is a Mexican family. I think like you would relate to the way that like the mom the mom to the child reaction, and then maybe a little bit more like the father too. It's not just with ethnicities; it's like everybody. It's very real. It's just like I don't know. It probably is a little bit more relatable in that sense. And like I said, I work for a Korean family, so a lot of the like nuances of that were extra funny to me because like it felt like them. I could relate to that because of them.
I also work for a Korean company, so totally didn't need to say that. Sorry.
Well, it's like an example of it is funny is at one point something good happens to the son, and I'm not going to like try to spoil any plot points here, but the son does something good, and the mom just goes, "Oh, did you become Doctor Gloria? Oh, okay, no." And she leaves. She like just leaves. She's like she storms out of the room upset.
That's for sure definitely an Asian stereotype.
There are 4 seasons. It looks like the 5 and 6 seasons have already been booked. It's just there's obviously nothing there yet. But no, it's a good show. So far, I've even got my wife watching it. I wasn't sure how she was actually going to like it. And, I got her to stay up an extra half hour late tonight to watch another episode. I don't know if that's a win or not. You tell me.
I just think it's like any sitcom where like if you relate to the tropes or the character relations, like and get some of the jokes that they're putting on, you're interested enough to watch it. It's not like there's a driving plot going through the entirety of the show. You could pick up and watch any episode here or there.
Yeah, it's more like the very beginning of Friends in that sense.
You might miss out on some running gags and some little plot points here and there that overlap. But really, each episode is bottled into its own thing, like most sitcoms, really, today.
As a son of a first-generation immigrant, I feel obligated to watch this show now.
Yeah, like there are definitely things that are like tropes and stuff that'll hit of like inter-family relationships, especially probably the closer your family is, because they have a pretty normal-esque family, I would say. It's not as it's not like it's a drama about a broken family. So
it's not Disney style where both parents are dead, right?
Yeah, there's no stepmoms involved. There's no like abused younger daughter. None of that. None of that hits. None of that slaps.
I'm losing interest.
I'm actually trying to get like a good example of what it is, but it's in my opinion, it's it's unique in its formula, but I definitely think it's more of a liberal hitting comedy as opposed to
no.
It's definitely unique because like Asian representation in Hollywood is very low, especially a lot of Asians.
Is it Hollywood? It's Canada.
It's Canada, but it's still being represented in larger formats. We're seeing it on Netflix, and like I said, I don't remember if I originally saw it on Netflix, but I remember when it first came out, like, and there was only like season 1 and season 2 is when I watched it. I didn't know they made it all the way to 4 seasons. I honestly didn't think it because there were little things that hit, but it wasn't like enough to really like keep me interested. But it was funny when I watched it in the moment.
What's the sense of humor or like the comedy of boot?
It's very much like based on the relationships of the family members, as far as I can remember, and then lots of like ethnic related relatable jokes, as far as I can remember.
It's a lot of I feel like they play up the stereotypes,
but it's them and it's written by them, so to them it's like a little bit.
It's what they find funny. Like, these are our stereotypes. This is what we want to share our humor, our culture's humor with you. Like a good example is the daughter goes on a date with a guy, and the dad goes, "When was Korean Independence Day?" Before they leave, and so he's like, "August. August 15th, 1942. And he goes, very good. And as they're walking out, the daughter goes, told you he would ask. So it's like stuff like that. It's really like, they're not really inside jokes. I think they're sharing the culture with everybody who's watching it. And I think they do it in a really good job.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I guess what I meant was like, what other comedies is it like?
Like I said, I would put it into like a more modern, like Cosby Show, Full House.
Gotcha.
Maybe a little
early.
You did
a little bit more modern because like
maybe an early Big Bang series when it was just kind of the dudes hanging around and they like acted as a family.
We've grown and what
coach.
we take like
don't
more
that show.
PG comedy is not as goody as it was back then. Like there's always insinuations of adult humor and they deal with like real family issues, I guess, but in a lighter sense, I would say.
Were you reacting to what I said, Hummer?
Yeah, what do you mean we don't talk about that show? What's wrong with the Big Bang?
I don't support Big Bang Theory.
Why not?
They made a lot of money making that show, though.
That show, let me tell you about that show.
There are some actors that made a lot of money making that show.
Yeah, it was a successful show, but it is a show about, and I'm doing air quotes here, nerds, but it's totally some corporate executive's interpretation of what a stereotypical nerd is. Like, we're going to talk about math and laugh about math and chemistry jokes. Haha, we're nerds. That's the whole show to me. Whereas a real nerd show would be like Community.
Look, they found some really talented female actresses to be in that show, in my opinion. And there are moments for each character, but overall, I 100% agree with you. like if you catch yourself watching the show, you're gonna be like either stupidly chuckling at something or like being like, "Oh, I get that," and then at some point you're gonna be like, "Why do they laugh track everything?" It's like I think he took a step and they did a laugh track for that, and you're like, why? But like, I don't know. I've listened to interviews from the actors and stuff from that show, and they had a lot of really talented people working on that show, which is probably why it was as successful as it was. And Kaylee Kukuo made out like a bandit.
Yeah, it's just so cringy to me. Like, we're afraid of girls. Star Trek. Get it?
I don't think it's supposed to, like, the show itself isn't supposed to be like taking the whole genre of quote unquote nerd or nirvana and wrapping it in. It's taking guys that like, if you're thinking back, it's the guys who were seriously like the smartest people in your class, who literally were the social awkward people. And when they all make friends with one another, how they interact within the world. I mean, I guess why I like is I can picture like a guy like Sheldon Cooper, the character itself, who's just like insanely genius, so focused on one thing, just being a little out there.
You know what? I was friends with the smartest kids in my high school, and now that I think about it, yeah, they do all act like that. Oh shit.
You're gonna deep dive into Big Bang Theory now with a new like affirmation of what the show is. And you're gonna fall in love with it and come back with part 5.
I get it now.
You get it.
Somebody finally told me, and I get it. Well, I hung out with the kids that made fun of those kids. No, I'm just kidding. but also, yeah, a little bit.
All right, my bad. Sorry to derail everything. Tell. So, what are you giving Kim's Convenience?
I do realize that Kim's Convenience will not be for everybody, but I do think that it's deserving of 3.5 on our rating system.
Oh,
I mean that means push something out of the queue to go watch that. Like, I'm not pushing anything out of the queue to watch Kim's Convenience, but if it pops up in my algorithm and I'm like scrolled through like 200 things, I might watch it again.
Hey, I'm just looking at the lineup of stuff that we're talking about today. It seems like your queue's pretty empty.
Roasted.
My queue is always full, but because I have terrible anxiety, apparently, I just watch the same things over and over again.
Did we talk about that before?
I don't know, but I read about it and I was like, I never thought I was that anxious of a person, but I will literally watch the same episode of a show like 12 times in a row.
Yeah, so
I'm the
I don't
same way.
know.
It's got to be like ultimate anxiety. It's like not even the same show progressing. You're just like, I'm going to go back and watch that episode.
I don't know if we talked about this or not, but it was an article that was floating around. Maybe we talked about it. Maybe I just imagined we talked about it, but there was
You're
an
giving me
article.
anxiety. Did we talk about it?
Yeah. So this will give you more anxiety. So basically, the reason that most people like to watch the same show over and over again is because it helps with your anxiety, because you don't have to stress out about what's going to happen to these characters, where's the like what's going on, like you already know all the plot points and beats, so it's more comforting and helps alleviate the anxiety you would get watching something new. Is that what
Yep.
you're talking about, Brad?
Here it is. Here it is.
100%. Like I thought if you couldn't insinuate that by like what I said earlier without your entire your entire thing, you're probably suffering of so much anxiety or going back to watch the beginning of our episode. Like I'll tell you what I've been watching that's bad, that it probably shows the anxiety lately. I've been watching like YouTube clips from like Smosh channels, try not to laugh challenges, where it's literally just like the same edited clips of the same thing over and over again. And I realized I've watched it for 3-4 hours sometimes. What is that about?
YouTube's amazing. I will for sure spend a majority of my time on YouTube. It's amazing.
Just holes. Like you fall in a hole. And you're like, sometimes it's like when we were kids and you'd watch 3 hours of Sports Center. It's the same thing. You couldn't even tell if it was different enough that they're just sitting there saying the same things every hour, or if it's just a one-time recording and then they keep playing it. You didn't know, but you felt like it was. But for some reason, you watched 4 hours of it. The sports day does not have enough news for 4 straight hours of news.
You go down the rabbit hole, and next thing you know, you're at a convention for flat earthers.
That's how Brad became a flat earther.
That just got way too real.
This week on Time Sync, we're going to discuss why it's physically impossible for the Earth to be a sphere.
So speaking of, well, I'll move it along and transition. With speaking of replaying things and anxiety-inducing things, Call of Duty Black Ops. It's been out for a couple weeks. Cold War. I broke down because I saw some of my friends playing it, and I was FOMO. Had the fear of missing out, so I broke down and bought it.
Oh, I did not know what that meant when you said that. I was like, I thought Hummer had a stroke.
What? You've never heard FOMO before?
Never. I saw the left side of his face drop. Should I call someone? Ambulances are expensive.
Luckily for everybody, Black Ops, I feel like, is a very short game to review and go over. The campaign is beautiful, like the graphics, the cinematography of it. It's beautiful. It's probably so far one of like the coolest looking games I think I've seen in terms of cutscenes. But it's just
I'm sorry, Brett just turtled out of his shirt like a turtle poking his head out. I'm sorry, it's extremely distracting. My bad. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Wait, why don't you just cut that and we go back?
No, I'm not cutting it.
Right.
We're leaving the turtle in. Turtle.
I didn't want to cough into my microphone. It's not a dry cough.
Well, so Black Ops, it's if you've played Call of Duty, it's just like the other Call of Duties. Like I said, the actual campaign, it is cool. I've been working my way through it. It's a very linear campaign, as you know. There's not a whole lot of decisions to be made. They pretty much just put you in a room and tell you to kill a bunch of people, and they tell you a story while you're doing it. It looks cool. Graphics are awesome. Cutscenes are amazing. The multiplayer, honestly, I think it leaves something to be desired. Granted, it's a run and gun 'em. I don't think if you have Modern Warfare, you do not need to get Black Ops if you don't care about the campaign. I think the ray tracing isn't enough to make me want to move, and I don't even use that feature. But honestly, I think it's a game that you could probably pass on. If you're not huge into Call of Duty, definitely don't buy it. Pass on it. If you are into Call of Duty, but you really like Modern Warfare and you don't feel like spending $60, pass on it. really only get it if you want to play the campaign. Maybe you skipped Modern Warfare, you still want access to a decent multiplayer platform, then you can go ahead and swoop it. But Black Ops has never been my favorite of the Call of Duty franchises. This still has zombies though. Zombies pretty cool. I also suck at zombies, so.
Have you ever looked into the story of Call of Duty Zombies?
A long time ago. I'm trying to remember the first game that had it. Wasn't it? It was a
World at War, I believe,
World
with
at
Kino
War.
der Toten. I think that was the first one. But because the only reason I ask is if you want to get lost on YouTube for hours, just try to understand the Call of Duty zombie story, because it is the most mind-boggling thing that I've ever tried to wrap my head around, and I still can't understand it because there are multiple different realities weaving into and out of each other, different timelines, characters like traveling throughout time, trying to like stop this zombie outbreak, and then there's a team of 4 of them, and there's multiple teams of 4 of them, and it's super, super confusing. Just try and watch a video on it. It's interesting. What?
Is it because it's poorly written?
No. Well,
or because it's like there's so many twists and turns, you feel like Charlie putting everything on the page about what he's doing.
Yeah, it is like that. It is like Pepe Sylvia, because they do. There's a new trend in games right now through like not AR games, but what's the other word for it?
There's an hour and 5-minute long video.
They're talking about
Call of Duty zombies.
That won't explain it all. You need at least the 4-hour one.
Wait, there is a 2-hour one underneath of it.
Yeah. It's insane.
Are you talking about when they do like ARG for like how they did?
Yes. So it's a big trend in games now where they don't just like, here's a cutscene that explains I was the villain the whole time. Now it's I noticed this was out of place in this room. Let me investigate that, and then you turn into Batman being a detective trying to like put all the pieces together. Okay, so this happened here, which means this is happening over here, so I can infer that this is what's going on in the universe. So like now all these games are doing, you have to really investigate hard stuff that most people can't even get to because it's so hard to get the story.
Well, yeah, that's, everybody trying to top what Rockstar does in their GTA games, everything they hide like that. I'm sure people have been hiding Easter eggs in games for a long, long time. But like, there are some companies who go so hard on it. I mean, all the alien stuff throughout the GTA games, and like, there are some crazy, crazy things.
So yes, and it's not just an Easter egg. Like, it's enough content to warrant these 3-hour, 4-hour videos. It's just dude, here's the lore. It's insane.
Most of the RPGs you'll play do the same thing, like breakdowns of little things and like artwork that gets released later, like things painted on walls you didn't notice, things that are out of place. Most good games have stuff like that,
For sure, though, the Call of Duty Zombies is the most complicated.
Yeah, the reason why I'm so quiet is because I did what I shouldn't have done, which was Google it. And there's a whole rabbit hole of it. I need to turn it off, otherwise I'm going to be on there forever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, Zombies is good though. Like, I do enjoy that part of the game, but I just don't think it's worth $60, especially if you don't have friends playing it, because it sucks playing zombies with randoms. You really want to have teammates. You want to be able to. One of the fun things about zombies is people going in the middle of playing for no reason, like a little girl, like a little schoolgirl.
So, one of the first games I played with Ben, our friend Ben, and we realized that he is an insane wild card, is we would be playing Zombies, the one where you're in the CIA, and we'd be running around trying to stay alive as long as possible, and then shit would hit the fan, and Ben would just take the fuck off. He's like, I'm out of here, guys. Like, you have to stick together in that to get through anything. And he would just disappear, guns blazing, and totally screw us over every time. That sounds like Ben, right?
Sounds like an angry tuna. Well, that's a good way to see if he actually listens. So rating Black Ops 2.
Wow.
I don't think I've played a Call of Duty since the first Modern Warfare.
Ooh, good game.
That's the last one I played.
I really like the new the Modern Warfare. I think Warzone is really cool. Like I'm still playing Apex, but I wish more of my friends would play with me in Warzone. Wink, wink, hint, hint.
The military shooter does nothing for me. Like I need some sort of sci-fi or fantasy in there to get interested.
You can cut your parachute and then redeploy it multiple times. what more sci-fi do you need?
I like to rent the Call of Duty games, play the campaign, and then take them back to the store.
But Modern Warfare, the Warzone is free. You don't even need the rent.
And I still won't play it.
Son of a gun.
I just want to play the campaign because they do a really good job. It's like a really solid 4 to 8 hours of gameplay, and then that's all I need.
Hence why I gave it a 2. So don't spend your money. Go live near Frank and find a video store.
Oh yeah, we still got Family Video rocking right down the street from me. It was just pretty convenient.
It'll all be rental via download stream eventually.
I hope so.
It will.
Well, I think I've taken up enough time. What do you have?
You don't want to talk about anything else?
I mean, if you guys want to give me more airtime, I'm down to talk.
We don't got a lot this week. We've been off. Some of us have been on our deathbeds, and then I had COVID, so.
So, Brad, you were on your deathbed this week?
Well, I just call my bed the deathbed because I listen to a lot of metal.
I was gonna say that.
That's how I go to sleep. I just get that, and then I'm like, sweet sounds.
Welcome to the deathbed.
Oh, I haven't gotten that part installed yet.
Then when you wake up in the morning, do you play some Adele just to even you into the day?
I wake up to nothing but Bach, sir.
Like metal Bach or like Rage Cage playing Bach?
Oh no, like the
Johann Sebastian.
the original recordings, obviously.
Oh, wait a minute.
Johann.
I have those.
Well, speaking of classy, The Undoing on HBO has been running over the past 5 weeks. Is a mini series on HBO featuring Hugh Grant and Nicole Kidman as your leading actors in that. Phenomenal. It's wonderful. I'm glad to see that we already have a rating in there. That means I don't really need to do it. It's a 4.
I must have accidentally done that. Sorry.
It's a 4. It's a really good show. It's your classic murder mystery. There's really nothing else to say. That it's a classic murder mystery, and honestly, I can't really say too much about it because it'll give it away. But if you are gonna watch it, I'm just saying, like, pay attention to the small details of like the characters' personalities. You will be able to figure out the ending. Like, and it's I think they did it in a really cool way that it's kind of what you expected, but kind of not what you expected. It's all the same all at once. It's an oxymoron is what the show is. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, you think you know what it is, then they convince you to not think you know what it is, but then you figure out what it is, and then they reconvince you to think it's something else, and they keep doing this the whole time, and they do it really good, and then you're just like, oh, how did I miss that? But then you're just like, I knew it the whole time.
Yeah, the butler always does it, obviously.
Not in Clue.
Well, so this show is basically about
He did it.
The basic plot points is basically a doctor who gets accused of killing a woman, and he goes on the run, and basically once they catch him, it's about the dynamics between the wife, her dad,
Donald Sutherland is her dad, right?
Yeah, and just being like uber wealthy, so it draws a lot of media attention. So it's like, you know, the media circus that surrounds the whole thing. And I mean, it's good. It's definitely worth. This is one of the ones that's worth actually dropping in your queue, and flopping it in there. I think it's about
Dropping
5
and
hours of
flopping.
content. Dropping and flopping, The Undoing.
What nice period to that sentence.
That was dropped and flopped.
I watched this show. Like, you ever like side watch a show, or like like you're adjacent watching a show? So like I'll come to bed and my wife will be watching it. So I've watched like chunks of the show, but I could never.
It's not your bottom show. It's just your side hustle.
I mean, it has nudity in it too, so
Gators bitches better be wearing jimmies. Sorry, it's just a hilarious line from a movie. Anyway, so I just couldn't get over Nicole Kidman's face. It's so weird looking. It's got so much plastic surgery.
Like generally just her face?
Yes.
Oh, no way.
Like
No
it's
way.
like frozen in time right here. Like,
I'm so disagreeing with that. No.
I'm gonna just quit over that.
Yep, I quit.
Here's my 2 weeks.
He just disconnects right there.
Look it up, Brad. Look how much she just looks like. They like
I'll look it up.
stretched her face over her face. Like,
I feel like I've seen her face in the last like year or so. She still looks like Nicole Kidman.
no, wait.
I don't
you need
think
to watch her
I-
in
I-
the show.
I think you're trying to like say she looks like God, who was the
Joan
like, I think-
Rivers.
Yeah, Joan Rivers.
No,
I'm
it's
like,
not that bad, but it creeped me out. I couldn't get over it.
I don't think it's bad at all. I
I'd get
rather
more-
enjoyed watching her face.
I'd get more creeped out by Hugh Grant because doesn't he like to touch people like inappropriately?
Like
Mhm.
in real life.
Yeah, hasn't he? He's had some scandalous situations.
I did not
Those
know
are in
that.
the '90s. It didn't matter. It doesn't count if it's in the
Oh,
late
Oh,
'90s.
yeah.
Just like if you wore blackface in the 80s, it doesn't count.
Yeah. You could be Prime Minister of Canada. It's cool.
Yeah. Ask Donald Trump. It doesn't matter if it happened in the late '90s, early 2000s.
Or the late 2000s.
There's this after 7
Or
years.
yesterday.
or currently.
So,
Why don't I just pardon myself while I'm at it? Anyway. Okay. Hummer, you those were all good suggestions. Definitely gonna check out Kim's Convenience for sure out of everything. But
well, we know your wife has the real taste because she's already watched The Undoing.
she was real into it. I don't know. I'm not a crime drama, like that doesn't tickle my fancy.
Too stereotypical of what a police officer does, and you know those people, and it's just
No,
you know.
why are some people so enticed by murder? Like, people love that true crime stuff, and I'm just like, why do you want to know about murder so much?
I like it when it's not real. So like well, I guess that's not real, but like the show that came out on HBO this year is really The Outsider, based on a Stephen King novel. That was really good. But that had like supernatural elements, but it was a crime drama.
I just look for entertainment that's like dumb puns and dad jokes, like Reese without her spoon being hilarious. Like, I want dumb comedy, and like it doesn't all have to be like nothing meaningless, but like sure, I like story and plot and like real things, but like the world is sad. Why do I have to be entertained by sad? I don't like it.
Hey, I like laughing, but every now and then you got to watch Manchester by the Sea and just, let it out. That's cool too. You need that emotional release every now and then.
That's why I rewatch movies.
What? Oh, because of the anxiety.
Full circle.
Dude, Manchester by the Sea, if you guys have seen it, right?
Yeah, back when it was in, Oscar season for that one.
Dude, when he sees his ex-wife at the grocery store, I just die on the inside. I lose it every time. It's terrible, but it's such a good movie. Anyway, So you mentioned dad jokes and stupid
I always
humor.
do. As I
So,
always do.
so I checked out another one of your recommendations. Basically, everything I'm doing is just checking out your recommendations lately.
As
Um,
as most people should.
yes, they should. If you think you have any kind of sense of humor similar to mine or Brad's, then definitely check out Dungeons and Daddies. It is, just to recap, a podcast about three guys and a girl playing four dads that get transported to Dungeons and Dragons realm, and the podcast is them playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons. But they're all writers, like success in video game industry and like in Hollywood or written plays. So they're very like their literary knowledge is like as strong as their pop culture, movie, and video game knowledge. So it's basically like us if we were writers and worked in the industry and were smarter. And
And we're all around better.
and yeah, if we were all just better people. And it's them joking around how they would get through these crazy situations in Dungeons and Dragons, and it is so amazingly funny. It's the only, like, I can't think of something where I'm actively laughing out loud by myself all the time. I can't stop listening to it. I subscribe to their Patreon so I could get the bonus episodes of them talking about the episode because it's so good. And even though you're here checking out our podcast, check out their podcast because it's so fantastic. It's so hilarious. And it's definitely inspired me to start a game of Dungeons and Dragons with my high school friends. So that's happening.
Now
so you're a dungeon master.
Yes.
Do you bring out whips and do you use whips and chains?
Of course.
Only when they excite me.
Nah.
So
the Dungeons and Dragons podcast
is Dungeons and Dragons.
Let's not get into that because we don't want to lose people.
No, get into it because I want people to listen to that podcast.
The Dungeons and Dragons podcast, like variety, it's a very flooded market. There are tons of people playing Dungeons and Dragons and recording themselves doing it. And honestly, we'll probably record ourselves doing it too, just in case something funny happens. We want to remember stuff. Or maybe we'll be mildly successful. Who knows? But it's a really flooded market, and you can listen to celebrities play. I remember Jason Momoa had a podcast for a little while. Like there are big, like Dan Harmon's done it before.
Vin Diesel. Joe
Like,
Mangiano. I can't say his name.
It's a really flooded market, like, and there are a lot of comedians and stuff who do it. But that being said, this group and this podcast is the best one I've come across personally. The core of the guys worked on Video Game High School, which came out, I feel like, a few years ago and had like 4 seasons. I remember starting it, but I don't remember continuing with it. And then the DM has some experience writing on like Borderlands 2, I think it was, and some other things. Like they're pretty successful in the field, and they are very, very funny. And they came up with a really good plot, and like it really shows when you're starting to get into Dungeons and Dragons how important it is to have a good DM who's really invested in what he's doing, because they throw him for loops at times with the decisions they make, and he handles all of them beautifully. It's great. It's very funny.
So to answer your question, Hummer, Dungeons and Dragons is like you can play it you become a character, and there's a established set of rules that exist to basically decide if what you want to do is successful or not successful. So like you could play it like seriously and be like, okay, there's a dragon, and what are you gonna do? And you could be like, well, I'm a wizard, and I know I can cast this fireball, and it will do this much damage, and I'm gonna roll my dice, and this decides if it hits him or not. And you can play very like tactical and traditional like that, or you can be like, yeah, I'm gonna just stab them in the balls and see what happens. And the only limit's your imagination. So if you're fucked up in the head and weird, then it's way more fun because you're gonna try to do the most hilarious or ridiculous thing you can think of. That's why playing with your friends is so much fun.
On my turn, I take tweezers and pull out every single one of Frank's beard hairs.
Yes, and you can do that. And you had to roll to see if you were successful.
Frank, we're gonna need you to roll a saving throw with advantage.
Excellent. So yeah, Dungeons and Dragons definitely has a stigma. Oh, this is Big Bang Theory. We play Dungeons and Dragons, but it's
They
just
ever play? I don't know if they ever play that.
I'm gonna assume, but basically it's just you sitting around making shit up with your friends with like a guideline of rules and what you can do. Yeah, I'm excited. The podcast is amazing. Definitely check out Dungeons and Daddies. I've recommended it to anybody who'll listen to me. Thank you, Brad, for sharing that. As well as your other recommendation, Aunty Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun. That was more interesting for me. It's definitely funny. It's definitely weird, like super weird. Like
Dungeons and Dragons weird.
No, that's normal weird.
Super weird. I just think it's very like exaggerated and intense, and like there's moments of like, depending on who you are and what you find funny, you might find more like awkward or cringy than you will like outwardly funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff was
like cringe humor.
Yeah, it was too much for me. Like, I can definitely tell like they wrote funny scenes and had funny ideas, but then some of the stuff that they're acting out, they're basically just like, I'm gonna talk like this now.
I'll tell you, that's doing it for me. I think that was hilarious.
Oh, okay, I get it now. I'm gonna watch Big Bang Theory.
That's great. That's wonderful. Killing it.
So the episode that they actually played Big Dungeons and Dragons on in Big Bang Theory had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Kevin Smith playing as players in the Dungeons and Dragons.
Both of those make sense to me.
One of those definitely does. I don't know about the other.
Oh, sorry. William Shatner was in there as well.
It was Kareem for you then?
And Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton was the dungeon master.
He was in Airplane, bro. How does it not make sense for you?
That's true. It all clicks now.
And Will Wheaton also makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah, big time. Will Wheaton pioneered the entire tabletop board game movement.
So he pioneered nerd what you're saying.
And I would
highly
recommend, if you're ever going to read Ready Player One, to get the audiobook read by Will Wheaton. He does a fantastic job.
Or skip the book and watch the movie.
No.
Don't do that.
Definitely not.
I love the movie.
What? Really?
Yeah, I watched it. That's one of the ones I watched to take my anxiety level down 3 levels.
Only 3?
Yeah, just 3.
That's easy mode, bro.
That's why I watched Ready Player One, easy mode.
It gives you a -3 on anxiety rolls. So I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. No, the book is way better, like way better. And the second book that just came out, I started reading it, and it is not great.
Hot garbage, I've heard as well, but I will pick it up at some point, maybe. Maybe if Will Wheaton reads the audiobook, it'll be good.
It is like hard. Like you like go from rooting for the main character to instantly being like, this guy is trash.
I mean, like, what was there more to talk about? Like everything felt resolved. Like,
I don't want to spoil it, and
it's
I want
the
to
search
finish
for
it.
more money.
I'm gonna save. It's not, but I'm gonna save. I want to read more of it. And
no, that was a Spaceballs reference to as in the Spaceballs 2. The search. Whatever.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's cool. Like, make me explain my jokes more. I love it.
Make me
Now
explain.
I'm getting there. So yeah, Auntie Donna. Oh, Dungeons and Daddies 5 out of 5. Auntie Donna's. I don't know. I wouldn't probably recommend it to anybody, unless you're like
I recommend it to everybody.
super into like sketch comedy. Like,
Yeah, if you liked Tim and Eric and Between Two Ferns and Comedy Bang Bang, if that's your humor, this is right there.
man, I don't know.
I thought
It's
the
good,
songs
but
were great. The free time bit with the ball, and then Abraham Lincoln comes in, and the one guy just goes, the president coming in has changed the whole scope of this for me." And then Ed Helms just goes, "Hey, Broden, roll with it," and rolls the ball down his arm. Like, that's genius.
yeah, I don't know.
All of that is A1 steak sauce.
I
Now I'm
am
hungry.
not gonna recommend watching it unless you just said you're into all those things.
All the things I just said. Thank you.
But for the average consumer, it's probably like a 2 out of 5. You're good either way. Sorry, Brad.
We're fighting now.
I know.
I don't believe you, Frank. I think you're lying.
Well, you're gonna have to watch it and find out. And you know
Okay.
what? You're gonna be good either way.
Oh, I
Whatever.
guess you weren't lying.
So, Brad has got some stuff to talk about HBO. But before he does, I watched HBO's newest movie release, Superintelligence. Have you guys seen a trailer about this at all?
I saw them pushing it, but I didn't watch it.
I didn't quite understand it.
You watched it?
No.
Oh, well then that's why.
That'll do it.
So
Gotcha.
I'd never even watched a trailer for it. I just saw Melissa McCarthy was in it, and nobody can master physical comedy today as well as Melissa McCarthy can.
She's really been walking away from that, I feel like, though.
She's done a lot of not as big movies, and she nails it in all of them. She is basically the female Chris Farley as far as physical comedy.
With a lot more control, though. Like, just like generally
Less
speaking.
drugs.
Like, generally speaking, more life control. And I
Drugs are
love
good.
Chris Farley, but like, she's probably got her shit together a bit more.
Yeah. So I saw she was in it and I was like, all right, I'm going to watch it. And I watched it with my wife. The premise of the movie is a AI becomes self-aware and is trying to decide if it wants to destroy humanity or not. So it finds the most average person in the world, which is Melissa McCarthy, and like wants to study her to make its decision. But I was really annoyed the whole movie just with the whole tech side of the movie, which it's heavily reliant on. It's like when you watch like when a doctor's watching a bad medical drama and they're like, none of this makes sense. When they're just like, oh, their heart is gonna go into system of a down.
Aortic reverence.
Yeah, exactly. And it just makes zero sense whatsoever. So they have this
House. You were talking about House, right?
No, because it's always lupus and House. It makes sense. But the super intelligence, like the
You
AI,
sound like you have lupus.
Yeah, thank you. But I'm cured now. I got over all my illnesses.
It wasn't COVID. It was lupus.
I was diagnosed by Dr. House.
He has a dry cough. He can't taste. He can't smell. Have you tried lupus?
Wait, lupus was the antidote for COVID?
It was in me the whole time.
Now it's a Christmas special.
The Christmas special is next week.
Isn't it always, Dad?
What?
You suffer from anxiety? Might be lupus.
Yeah, so they do tech dirty. It's real bad. But anyway, the movie itself is not great. The premise is stupid. The execution of the AI is dumb. Also, the AI takes on James Corden's voice in order to better relate to her. So it's basically James Corden the whole time. But
That's rough.
I really like Melissa McCarthy, and it's a good movie to watch with the missus because there's definitely some good chuckles. But as far as like movies go and it being good, it was not. But I didn't pay to see it. It was just on HBO. So if you're looking for a movie to kill time, or definitely don't watch it by yourself. It's definitely good to watch with it's a rom-com, so watch it with your partner. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5.
You just rated that higher than Aunty Donna, though.
Yeah, because I would not recommend Aunty Donna to anybody other than like a small group of people I know's sense of humor. I would recommend this movie to a majority of the country because it's going to appeal,
Whatever, bro. Whatever.
on a mass scale.
Whatever.
Everything's a drum, Brad. When I met you 12 years ago, you told me everything's a drum.
Anyway,
the movie is also written by her husband, and Melissa McCarthy's husband is so good in the like small parts that he gives himself or is in. He's so like he's her lover in Bridesmaids.
yeah, the air marshal.
Yeah, he's so funny. I love that dude. But not he directed this one. Oh, no, he didn't write it. My bad. He directed it. So never mind. He's in it though, and hilarious in it. Sam Richardson's also in it too.
Cool.
You know who that is?
Not off the dome.
He's Scrooge. The old so and so Skeletrix in his arm. He's destroying the future.
Yeah. Now the dots are there.
The bony Scrooge. Anyway,
he was great in Veep.
So you wanted to tell us stuff about HBO?
I felt like we'd been talking a lot about HBO over the last couple episodes, so I decided to renew my HBO for a couple reasons. Like the fact that they're going to premiere the new Wonder Woman movie on Christmas Day for no additional cost is like a big FU at Disney and an amazing thing. So everybody should just get their HBO back because that's going to be the cheapest ticket to the new Wonder Woman movie, which I'm not confident is going to be all that good.
Really?
It doesn't look great. I felt like the first trailer teasers were like really good, and then the more we've seen, just like how I thought Suicide Squad was. The first teaser, you were like, "Oh, cool," and then every time they show you a little bit more, you're like, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna fly.
I'm not sold on Kristen Wiig.
I think a lot of people aren't. And with Chris Pine's character being back for some reason, doesn't really make sense at this moment.
This is the reason.
The idea of money, but like in the story, we don't know why his character is.
Only money.
And like the first time I saw her use the golden lasso on a bolt of lightning, I thought it looked ridiculous. Like not good ridiculous. Bad ridiculous. I feel like
I thought you liked sci-fi here. What's going on here?
Make up your mind.
I think they're definitely trying to capture like what Taika did with Ragnarok, and like a little bit of they're trying to find that vibe of this so they can fit in that same ilk. But I don't know if they're gonna hit it. It doesn't look like they are.
This kind of looks like it should be directed by Michael Bay.
Oh no! Don't say that.
It's a guaranteed. Oh no! Oh no!
No, I just mean like it has a Michael Bay vibe to it.
But
oh god,
that doesn't come out till the 25th. So there's other really good content on HBO. I started watching His Dark Materials again because I only watched the first couple episodes last time I had HBO. I'm not going to rate it yet because they're working on season 2 right now, and I want to get caught up before I talk about it. I did dive into the DC content because they have lots of great sub pages that the HBO has contracts with. They have contracts with Cartoon Network, They have contracts with Toonami, which is a part of Cartoon Network.
What's Homer laughing about?
I don't know.
I can't take this trailer serious.
The Wonder Woman trailer.
I can't take Kristen Wiig serious. I'm not gonna lie. I can't take her. All I'm thinking of is you're a horrible bridesmaid.
All I hear is that Wonder Woman music. Sorry, Brad. Go ahead.
No, you're
Sorry.
fine. Because there's other DC they have sub pages, right? So they have contracts with Cartoon Network and DC, and I think I saw Turner Classic Movies, maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Something. I don't remember all of them, but it gets you access to like really like content you might want to watch, like Gendy Tartakovsky. I don't have cable anymore, so like Gendy Tartakovsky put a new cartoon out in like 2019 that I'm trying to watch at some point. I've watched a bunch of DC movies. Now I will tell you, it's like a lot of the bad side of DC is on there right now. I watched the first
Doom
couple
Patrol's
episodes.
on there.
I did not like Doom Patrol, and I watched the first couple episodes. So, and I also watched Titans, which is the live action version of the Teen Titans.
That's on there now. It wasn't on there last time. Okay.
Yeah, 2 seasons is on there. I'm like 7 episodes in, and like I get if you liked like Gotham and Arrow and Flash, like it feels the same as those. And I thought those all were bad.
Yeah.
So like it feels very similar to that.
They are bad.
And then I tried to go rewatch like the Teen Titans cartoon from like 02, which I was, I don't know, probably on the old side of cartoons, but I remember watching it. And it's a little kid show. I couldn't watch it. I tried to watch Young Justice again, very 14-year-old boy. So I couldn't really watch it. I did watch the newer, more adult Harley Quinn cartoon. The first season I thought was excellent. It's very funny. It's Kaylee Kukuo again, so we'll mention her. I'm pretty sure she's a producer on it and has a production card. So she's throwing money at it.
Wait, is she voicing Harley Quinn or is it Tara Strong?
No, she's voicing Harley Quinn.
I only like Tara Strong as Harley Quinn.
No, I think she's really good. She like doesn't have the like Mystic J side of things all the time.
She's
a little bit more
Harley Quinn to me.
Well, they're getting away from that. Watch the show and you'll get it. They're trying to make Harley Quinn her own thing, which was tough because they're still a villain, and it's like brutal at times. Like people getting shot in the face. There's a moment when she goes to see her family and her grandma's at the table like, they told me I got a tumor in the brain. I don't know when it'll get me. And then she gets shot in the head. And the dad goes, whoa, that was an aggressive brain tumor. like that's brutal. So, and like they make kind of the superheroes like more, I don't know, like kind of like how the main superhero was in Mystery Men, when he's kind of like I don't want to say stupid because they're still heroes, but they make them more like egotistical characters and kind of push them out of the way. So instead of fighting heroes, she's fighting other villains, mostly the Joker and some other she's against the Legion of Doom most of the time. So they still have her be a bad guy, but everyone else is worse. The first season was great. The second season really just got latched down into all this relationship stuff, and I completely tuned it out by like 5 or 6 episodes into season 2. I couldn't. I don't know. It was fun when it was a fun romp, but then they turned into talking about characters loving each other, and that was done.
And I hate love.
That was over. I despise love. Love's been disavowed.
Did you just become a villain?
I always have been. You know this.
I always saw you more as like a chaotic neutral.
Love is for the weak.
I'm chaotic wild card, baby. But then I mean, with HBO, you've got access to a lot of great movies, both original content and licensed stuff. It's a really good competitor as far as streaming content, because like sometimes I think Disney doesn't have enough content, but you are keeping it right now because of The Mandalorian. Like Hulu, I don't know, kind of loses me at times with not enough stuff. And I think HBO just keeps putting out good content. So I think HBO itself, HBO Max, is a really valuable subscription for everyone to have right now.
Now, I wish I could go through and search through all of our podcasts, because when I said that about HBO Max, Frank gave me this look of just like, are you serious?
No,
it's awful.
No, I did not. HBO and Netflix are the best streaming service things. You've got Lovecraft Country, which is really good. The Outsider, Succession, Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 5, Watchmen,
No, when I made the comment, I talked about like considering
Westworld.
If I only were choosing between like one or the other, I was like, I actually might consider only going HBO because they have great originals and their backlog of originals is great. They obviously have contracts with movie studios. They've always had them. And now they're gobbling up shows like Friends. And like Netflix is losing, this is going to scare everybody. They're losing The Office.
Anxiety is going to go through the roof for so many people.
I'm gonna be subscribed to Peacock so fast.
Yep. So it's going to go behind the paywall that
you just turned your mic off.
Oops.
You made your point. Done.
He put himself behind a paywall.
Well, that's it for this week's episode.
I mean, I just think that HBO Max is getting close to the point to where if you don't want more than one streaming service, you could actually, it's a viable, in my mind, a viable competitor to Netflix that you might be able to choose one or the other at a very, very, it's coming rapidly that you can choose between the two and not go with one of them.
I think the best thing right now is you probably can rotate between the two. Whereas because it's all going to be a backlog of content at some point when you're like, all right, I've watched everything on HBO right now. I'll go without that for 3 months and I'll get Netflix back for 3 months. It's when they start bundling them, that's when it'll be a problem. Like,
oh my God,
Disney Plus, Hulu, and for some reason ESPN Plus.
Guys, our goal was to get away from cable. Cable goes, we're back.
You know that everything is cyclical.
You guys thought you could get rid of me? I'll show you.
I just want to point out that's like one of the best moments in cinema history when I can't remember the character's name, but when he flies into the ship at the end of Independence Day and says, "Hey boys, I'm back." It's one of the best cinema moments
in
history.
Oh my God, who is that? That's
it's a Quaid, right?
It's Randy Quaid. Yeah, totally.
Russell Case.
Yeah.
That's the character name, right?
Yeah.
It's still Randy. It is Randy Quaid, right?
Yeah. And you know what? That movie also set the tone of like, if shit goes south, like the president should be up in an F-16 fighting for the country. Like that's the ideals that I grew up on.
That is never gonna happen. He's gonna be in a bunker like Mars Attacks.
That's what I want my president to do.
The first candidate who's
you better vote for
qualifications are I was a Top Gun naval aviator. I'm like, I'm voting for you, Maverick.
Yeah,
you're in.
Like when we're on the brink of World War III, you're picking the guy who was like, I was private first class. I've killed many men. That's the guy you're going for.
Yeah, because then I know he can kill aliens.
So you're going for that? Remember that there was that one candidate with
Eagle 20
guy with
Fox
the
2.
You're talking about like hardcore conservative Lieutenant Dan Crenshaw?
Boom, that guy. That's your man. That's an alien killing son of a bitch right there.
All right, Brad, you took my fanciful, whimsical world and destroyed it with reality. I hope you're happy.
Successful. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here now. Thanks, guys.
On that note, mic drop.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, no, that was good. You guys got anything else you want to mention? You've got 1 minute.
I want to put out the challenge for next week, and I want to set the terms on what Christmas movies are going to be and holiday movies as we rate them.
Are we only doing movies?
I guess we could do content. I was thinking we'd do best holiday movie, worst holiday movie, and most surprisingly good, like the one we're gonna go, that movie's not good.
When you say holiday, you mean like Christmas movies, right?
Hanukkah or Kwanzaa flies, or Ramadan occasionally. We're an all-inclusive podcast. You better believe it.
Ramadan is a rotating holiday. It's not always
That was
the same.
Hanukkah. That was Hanukkah.
What?
Anyways,
Really?
yeah. It's sometimes it's closer to Thanksgiving, sometimes closer to Christmas. The lunar calendar is how the Jews go by for, because we got to be different. But
I pray to Ra, the sun
it has
god.
to be about the holiday spirit. It can't be like, oh, it takes place during Christmas. Like, that's why Die Hard, you could say, argue it's a Christmas movie, but it's not about Christmas. It just happens in fucking December, which really is a pagan holiday anyway. Let's get
Oh God! All right, freshman year of college student.
Eek Barbadurkle.
All right, that's gonna be it for this week.
Next week we destroy Christmas.
Yeah, we're definitely doing a Christmas episode next week, and then after that, we're gonna do a best of 2020. So
It's gonna be really bad.
Yeah, it's gonna be
2020 was terrible,
but not for media. So, but definitely video games mostly. Anyway, check us out on all your favorite social media platforms.
Punch that subscribe bell. Punch it. Punch it. Punch it. Punch it. Punch it.
I can see a followers number going down as you do that. Definitely check out our Patreon. We don't have one. Download and listen to us on all your favorite podcasting apps. And we'll see you next week.
Check us out at your local strip club.
I won't be there. Over.
End transmission.